These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome in. This is FST. It's Fantasy Sports Today. My name's Matt Stryker. His name's Joe Pisapia, and this is the place. If you want to dominate, whether it be season-long fantasy, DFS, straight-up wagering, whatever it is, we've got you covered. Really quickly, at SportsGrid, at SportsGrid TV, those are our social media handles. Just do yourself a favor and double-check that you're following along. So much great content from so many great hosts on a great network. It all lives right there, and you can check it at your leisure. Speaking of leisure, a man that I would imagine if he grew up in the time would wear leisure suits, big wide collars, bell bottoms, pastel colors. Joey P., author of the Fantasy Black Book, the Truman Capote of our day. Come on in, my friend. Happy baseball. It's great to see you. I love your outfit today. For those that are listening and not watching, Joe is wearing a pink hat, a fuchsia blazer, and I don't know what that is there. Is that a yellow ruffled t-shirt? You look fantastic, my man. What's up?
I'm glad the radio audience can at least indulge in that. I am wearing all of those things, as you can see on TV, very clearly. The 70s fashion, by the way, is brutal. Like, I know we look back on things in the 90s and 80s, and you're like, oh, but the 70s, man, it was out of control. I mean, that was some horrendous stuff in the 70s. I would not wear any of that stuff. I mean, I know I would have a choice because that's what was about.
Bell bottoms.
Oh my God, those bell bottom pants. What the hell was happening in the 70s? I was born
Peace and love, man.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Was it? No, I think it's Quaaludes. I think that's what happened.
All right, one of those two things.
One of those two things. Let's get to the three ups. The guy's having the best week ever. And let's start with Aaron Judge. Pretty good week for him. Going into Friday's action from Friday to Friday, 5 homers, 15 RBI, 417 batting average, an OBP of 481, 1167 slugging percentage, and a 1648 OPS. Not too shabby for the reigning MVP, looking to double up that number. And he has been nothing short of spectacular to start the season. Of course, Yankee Stadium does help. Some of those pitching matchups early on have helped too. They were just all over those Brewer pitchers last week. 20 runs in one game is crazy stuff. But, Aaron Judge continues to show that with Juan Soto, without Juan Soto, he's still going to be great. So any moron that was predicting Aaron Judge having a down year because Juan Soto was gone is just out of their mind, because Judge is terrific. And Judge was done it before Juan Soto got there, and he'll do it after Juan Soto. Is it helpful to have Juan Soto? Of course it is. But it is just April. It is just 1 week. but it's a reminder that, Aaron Judge is still all elite when it comes to the top of the Major League Baseball crop. So we know that. And it was a nice little reminder and a lot of runs, a lot of fantasy goodness. So if you drafted Aaron Judge first, you're loving the opening to the season, Matt. Just loving it.
And I'm going to tell you also, season over season. So full disclosure, I live in New York, so obviously I'm going to see more Yankee baseball. But in this day and age, everyone can see what they want to see. There was a question a couple of seasons ago about Aaron Judge having a hole in his swing, inside portion of the plate, things of this nature. That question has completely been eroded. I can't find a hole in his swing. So, Joe, I think you're right. For those that felt that Judge's success was contingent or hinging upon Soto's presence, no. Aaron Judge does the work, and he's improved season over season. And that, to me, really says a lot. And as Aaron Judge goes, so do his teammates. Another Yankee enjoying a fantastic week. Who is it?
It's Jazz Chisholm. So he is using the torpedo bats, and so far it's working out. Will Clark, I don't know if you saw this. Will Clark has a show with Eric Burns, and they have, Will Clark and Eric Burns moments on that show. And Will Clark kind of went off about the torpedo bat, saying, so what they've done is they realize that you're not good at barreling up the baseball, so they move the barrel to help you out, which means that you suck at baseball. Basically, just classic Will Clark, tough guy, throw a dip in your mouth and, spit it out, kind of just, he's just fun. He's just entertaining. I like Will Clark. What can I say? But look, Jazz Chisholm is making the most of the new tools. He always had talent, but the new tools are helping him. So is the ballpark. It's also helping Anthony Volpe, because some of those home runs would not be out anywhere but Yankee Stadium. 4 homers, 8 RBI, 370 OBP, a 292 batting average, and a 1600 OPS. The guy's been spectacular so far. But it does ring true that if you are somebody that gets jammed a lot, right, then you're not doing it properly. There's some kind of fail in your swing or in your approach. And now science is basically correcting it for him. And it's not illegal. We already know this. So if it's not illegal, everybody should be doing it, or anyone who really feels like they struggle with this should be doing it, because they should. So I know we didn't get into the torpedo bats too much this week, but clearly they're having an impact. And Yankee Stadium being a joke on top of that just compounds the issue. So is the to say it is what it is. And this week they've got the Giants and the Tigers. So we'll see how the Yankees fare against those two teams, but they should be pretty good.
So here's the thing, whether you agree with the torpedo bats or not, take advantage of them. Find out who's using them, look at your stats, and try to see, because remember, we're about wagering on this show and on this network. If you can take an advantage of something, why not do that? With that said, how long before we get cricket paddles in this thing? At the end of the day, Will Clark is right. He has a great point. But I remember in 1989, MLB experimented with using the aluminum bats. I think the pitchers were all up in arms because they thought they were going to get killed. I mean, the ball flies off the bat fast enough. How come that's not the same conversation with torpedo bats? Do you want to know why? Because guys aren't pushing the ball back through the box. Guys are launching the ball, so pitchers don't have any fear. But it's interesting how we went from 1989 to 2025, and the concerns are far different. Let's talk about a pitcher now who's actually having a good week, Joe.
Yeah, having a great first week, too, and very underappreciated still. This has been like 2.5, 3 years now of Nate Eovaldi really turning his career around, becoming somebody very steady. He showed some flashes in some different places, but Eovaldi here, as a Texas Ranger especially, you look at these first 2 games, 15 innings for him, 17 strikeouts, an ERA of 1.20, a whip under 0.5. He hasn't walked anybody, 17 strikeouts, no walks. I mean, that's an incredible lead up here for him. And he is the ace of this staff. Sorry, Jacob deGrom. It's Nate Eovaldi. Okay. And Jacob deGrom went out there in 5 2/3 and gave up 4 runs yesterday. He's going to be up and down, getting his feel back from pitching, because he hasn't pitched a whole lot in the last couple of years. Eovaldi is the guy, if the Rangers are going to be contenders this year, that they've got to count on. Now, this is unsustainable, but it is an incredible opening to the season for Nate Eovaldi, and somebody that you probably got at a discount. If you look at the ADP of Eovaldi and a guy like Jacob deGrom, again, nowhere near each other, and yet Eovaldi clearly the better of the two to start the season. I know Jacob deGrom has the better body of work, but this is 2025. I'm talking about trying to win right now. And Nate Eovaldi is healthy, and Nate Eovaldi has been really solid the last couple of years and does not get enough credit. So we wanted to give him some love on the show today, because it was a good couple starts here to the beginning of the year for Nate.
All right. With that said, let's now talk about who stinks. Who's having a tough time?
Stinks?
Who needs to turn it around, Joe? Let's go
Justin
to a pitcher
Steele
first.
Will. Yeah. Yes. Justin Steele needs to, and he will. First start was in Japan, so you got to give him a pass on that. It's just a weird travel thing and all that stuff. But still, now we're 3 starts in, the ERA is still at 6.89. The WHIP is at 1.34. I'd be buying on Justin Steele. He's a really good left-handed pitcher. Michael Toglia, I had real concerns. I know the Welsh, my counterpart on Fantasy Bros MLB on YouTube, we were, he loves Toglia, he loves the power, and I get it. He plays in Colorado, but still, he ain't hitting anything. Just 2 hits, 14 strikeouts, and 23 at-bats. The strikeouts are a huge problem. Contact's a huge problem here. 0.87 in terms of his batting average. Like, he's just not making enough contact right now. Period. End of story. So we got to fix something there. And then speaking of lack of contact, earmuff Sam Yarnell, our esteemed producer and Nationals fan. Dylan Cruz going into Friday's action, hitless and 18 at-bats, 10 strikeouts, no batting average to speak of because he hasn't put a ball out there yet for a hit. So the question is Dylan Cruz not hit his way all the way back to AAA?
You don't do that to the kid. Here's the thing. We talk about these young players coming up. We're looking at them to try to play a man's game, but what about the psychology of professional sports? And I was a pro wrestler. I got in at a bit of an older age, but I still needed time to mature. I don't want a kid like Dylan Cruz to get it into his head that he can't hit. Then he gets sent down, and all of a sudden, all these mental games come into play. You have to understand the mental makeup of a player, especially a young player in a game like baseball. Hardest thing to do, Joe, hit a round ball with a round bat.
Yeah, unless you have the barrel movement, in which case it becomes a little bit easier. See what I did there? Look, if Dylan Cruz gets sent down, buy him in every Dynasty Keeper League because he's still a good talent. So a lot of guys turn things around. We'll be right back with 2-star pitchers. We come back here at FST.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, Matt and Joe with you here. During the break, we were talking about do we keep things from our significant other? So I want to put that out to social media. Do you keep things from your significant others? I'm sure your significant other is monitoring your social media, so you have to lie. So everyone at SportsGrid TV, just type in right now, no, I love them, because you know they're watching, and it just puts everyone on the same level playing field. Speaking of level playing fields, Joe, when you have two-start pitchers, I think you have an advantage. And I think we should look at some of these two-start pitchers. Let's start with the Athletics. Luis Severino's going twice. You're telling me about the matchups and if you're going to pick him up.
Yeah, let's see if we can tempt each other here with some two-star pitchers. Let's start with Severino of the Athletics. 2 home starts, one against the Padres, one against the Mets, Kodai Senga and Michael King. So 2 pretty good pitchers here on the other side he's got to face. However, I think the Athletics are a very formidable team. I think spunky. I think a team that does a pretty good offense. I would be starting Luis Severino in these 2 games. I will take my chances. They can get 1 win over both of these here. Now, King had a really good bounce back start. Kodai Senga in his first start, a little rocky in the beginning, and then that forkball started to work for him and things were going better. But anything can happen. You know, Severino pitching against his old team, the Mets, too. I kind of want to get involved there. So these are 2 good offenses he's going against, no doubt about it. I think on the fence, I can imagine, you know, some people might be, but I would throw him out there as my 5th guy and see if Severino could at least get me some strikeouts and maybe come away with one of these wins. What do you think? Severino against the Mets and against the Padres, both starts at home in Sacramento.
Right. So that's the thing that now I wouldn't say, as George Kurz like to say, that Sacramento ballpark is a bandbox, but it does have some ability. And the Padres offense, Met offense, that scares me. So I'm going to stay away from Severino. While you were talking, I was thinking maybe attack him on a first 3 or a first 5 kind of situation. But again, I don't want to be biting my nails. I don't want to be speculative the 2nd and 3rd week in April. I want to come in with conviction. So let's go to another 2-start pitcher. And this time it might be a little easier because he plays for the most amazing team ever assembled since 1927. So let's have this conversation.
Yeah, it's Dustin May. First start on the road against the Washington Nationals. Second start at home against the Cubs and Justin Steele, who we've talked about struggling a bit. Now, we know Freddie Freeman's going to be out for that first start. We know for sure, so that's 1 less bat in that lineup. But considering the bullpen, considering the Dodgers, as you said, just being on another planet so far to start this year, I think you have to start him. And he is rostered in about 60% of leagues right now, so he is available in more than you realize. So Dustin May, I think, is absolutely a 2-start guy this week. He could come away with 2 Ws, but I think he'd settle for 1 in these 2 matchups here. The Dodgers might win both, but the path to the win is always easier, even if he's a 5-inning pitcher, when you have a bullpen like that and an offense like that, too. Really good matchup against the Nationals, especially. I would start him just for that one. And then against the Cubs, I think it's bonus. That's kind of my mindset when it comes to May. What's yours?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Dustin May is definitely a great 2-start pitcher this week. Both games are winnable. And I don't want to say that the Nats are going to be in awe of the Dodgers, but first couple innings, they might just be staring mouth agape, and then they'll look up at the scoreboard and see that it's already 5-0. All right, let's go now to a 3rd-generation pitcher. Yeah, Johnny Mize is Casey Mize. Casey Mize for the Detroit Tigers has the Yankees, and then he has Minnesota. Are you in it?
I think I am, but this is more of
you sound really convinced.
Well, here's the thing. I think this one's a little bit more circumstantial because he has been good in the spring. His first start, 5 2/3 innings, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, 1 hit. A really good first start there. No earned runs in that one. But it is the Yankees, right? Now, it's not in Yankee Stadium, so that's a positive, right? You're getting him in Detroit. And then on the road against Pablo Lopez, another pretty good pitcher here, and Rodon, a pretty decent pitcher. So I think this is one of those spots where if you're a team that lost Ronaldo Lopez, if you're a team that, you know, just had some pitching injuries or pitching issues recently, if somebody, you know, you're not feeling really good about, then maybe then it's Casey Mize. This is more circumstantial for me. This isn't, oh my God, don't start him, but it's not, I'm running to start him either. I'd like to wait and see because I think this is a real test of Casey Mize. Now, the good news is if he passes this test, and it's just on your bench, then you feel pretty good about Casey Mize going forward for the next couple of weeks and saying, all right, well, if you can go out there and have a good week against the Twins and the Yankees, I feel pretty good about starting you. But I don't think this is like a mandatory, yes, like Dustin May, that makes all the sense in the world. That's probably the best of the ones we'll talk about. This one is a little bit more circumstantial. But where do you stand with Casey Mize? Are you just throwing him out there against the Yankees and against the Twins?
Nope, I am not. And it's a great question to ask early on in the season. I'm never just throwing anyone out there. That's just not the way I play. The Yankee bats, they scare me. And going on the road at Minnesota, at Pablo Lopez, again, there's going to have to be other pitchers. If there's no one else out there and it's down to, say, between Severino and Mize, then I can have this conversation. But I'm not, like you said, rushing out to start him when a Dustin May is available. Or even this next guy here who's going to pitch for Houston. It's going to be at Seattle, which we know has a notoriously bad batter's eye. We've heard the hitters talk about it. and then against the Angels. So I think I'm going to start this Astros pitcher. But Joe, want to hear from you.
Yeah, this is another one too where I'm kind of on the fence about this one. I like the fact that he still qualifies at RP. So if you have those mandatory RP spots and you have a closer who's struggling and you have to throw somebody else out there, maybe Wisniewski can get you some points and get you some stats there in this 2-start week. But the first start is against Logan Gilbert, so that is troubling. So at most you're hoping for a no decision there in that one potentially. The second one against Kyle Hendricks and the Los Angeles Angels, I'm much more apt to. So this is a deeper league scenario. I would pass because that first one to me just sounds like a bad day at the office against Logan Gilbert. Outdueling him is not impossible, but it's pretty tough. And that Angels lineup, every now and then will have some moments in it. Mike Trout looked pretty good yesterday, so that's a positive there. But I think I'm a pass on Wisniewski. I'd like to see how it develops. Also, Luis Garcia, just want to point this out too, of the Houston Astros, a setback for him. So they're going to have to wait a little bit longer for him to rejoin that rotation. So Wisniewski does have a little bit more time. Where are you at with Wisniewski? Would you be throwing him out there? Despite the fact that I understand, Seattle, tough place to hit, but a good place for Logan Gilbert to pitch on the other side.
Yeah, I look at it as how am I going to wager on these guys. So May and Wisniewski are going to be the guys from this list that I'm going to throw out there. And when I look at Wisniewski and I look at him at Seattle, I see a first 5 opportunity. And then I just see a straightaway Houston on the money line opportunity against the Angels. So there's betting ability there. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. We've talked a lot about some moves that we're going to make, and now we're talking about some guys that might be dropped to the waiver wire. 2 of the most dropped guys. Should you be picking them up? Should you be dropping them? We'll tell you when we return. Don't go anywhere. More FST right after this.
These guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports today. Matt Stryker alongside known anti-dentite Joe Pisapia. And Joseph, it is time to talk about the most dropped players. There's one player who's already gone down to AAA, and there's another player who's been suspended. So let's have this conversation. Where do you want to go first?
Well, let's talk with Bednar here, because Bednar was supposed to be the closer for the Pirates going into this year. That was a little tenuous, and well, the first couple outings did not go so great, so they ended up optioning him to AAA. So in the meantime, Dennis Santana and Colin Holderman are the top candidates for saves. Now, I watched Holderman pitch. He didn't look great holding or trying to hold the 8th inning against the Rays last week when I watched him. Santana ended up coming in and getting the save in that game eventually. So Santana seems to be like the guy for now. The question is, do you hold Bednar as he tries to get right in AAA? That becomes the big question. I think the answer is no. I'm not holding on to him. If Luke Jackson is available, if Santana's available, I'm just making this straight move personally, because Bednar going into the season was already a little rough. If you start to look at the deeper numbers on him, they haven't been very good. If you're looking at the trend lines, they've all been going in the wrong direction. And Bednar at one point was a pretty cost-effective closer, right? A guy, he's like, he's a closer on the Pirates. You know, you go back all the way to just a 2023, pretty solid. A 2 ERA. The year before that, a 2.6 ERA, 2.23. He's always been in that range. Not a dominant strikeout guy, but a guy getting outs. And then last year, that ERA ballooned to 5.77. So that was over a whole season of 57 innings as the closer. It was not good for him. He blew a lot of saves. So I think they were trying to give him the benefit of the doubt going into this year. And so far, it's just been doubt now. And now they've moved him to AAA. And it seems like Bednar is going to, until he figures things out, not only does he have to figure things out to get better to move back to the major leagues, but then if Santana, let's say, is dominant in that role, why are you making that pivot? What are you doing that for? Bednar will just work the 8th or somewhere else. So it's not a guarantee he even gets that job back. So I'm a drop of Bednar, but I'm curious, in this competitive save landscape that we're always looking for saves wherever we can get them, is Bednar a hold for you, or would you be dropping him to the waiver wire as well?
Joseph, let me answer you in song. I'm sorry, Luke Jackson. I am for real. Never meant to make the Rangers great. No, here's the thing, dude. David Bednar's in AAA, and if you love David Bednar and you drafted David Bednar and you don't want to drop David Bednar, I want to be in a league with you. Because here's what I do. I find out the David Bednar manager, and bam, I'm dropping a trade on him now. I know no one's going to trade in April, but still some of these people panic. No, I'm not holding on to David Bednar. You mentioned Santana, Holderman, Luke Jackson. There's so many guys out there. You can stream saves. Don't knock yourself out. Don't pull your hair out over something like this. You'll end up looking like Joe. And the problem with that is you'll never be as smart as him. And that's the thing. Now you're ugly and you're dumb. Now what are you going to do? All right, you're not ugly. You're actually a very handsome man. You give great face. Talk to me about this next outfielder that has been most dropped.
Well, we started the whole show with Jerks and Profar, who 80-game suspension, and in 99.9% of leagues, it's really difficult to hold this guy because you can't IL him. He's not on the injured list. He's just taking up a bench spot. So in shallow leagues, you absolutely cut him. In deeper leagues, it becomes a little bit more of a conversation. But if you're looking around at who's out there, the Victor Scotts of the world, you know, we talked about him last week on the waiver wire. He's all the way up to 71%, still available in 30% of leagues. If you're looking for Mangum of Tampa Bay, Rodin on Toronto, there's a lot of guys out there in the outfield that you can start to speculate on, that even a couple other players we're going to talk about coming up too, that I think are far more worthy of a roster spot than waiting on Profar halfway through the season. If you really like Profar and you want to get back into the business, drop him now and then hope that somebody else doesn't pick him up. I don't think they will. And then eventually you try to, you know, somewhere around June, pick him back up and hope that you can stash him again as he's coming back. That's the best case scenario for Profar. But Matt, he's just this terrible anchor on your roster at this point. You can't do it, right?
I agree 100%. Again, look, on the other side of the break, we're going to do buy low, sell high. So stick around because we're going to answer a lot of the questions that you have in your mind. But yeah, if you have Bednar and you have Profar, at this point in the season, there are unless you're playing in a 15-team league and there's nothing out there, and even then, you can still be speculative and be better than having a guy that can give you nothing. Anything is better than zero. We mentioned that a lot during fantasy football. Same thing in baseball. Bednar will give you a 0. Profar a 0. There are guys out there that will give you better than 0, Joe.
Yeah, half a season is a very long time. It's very long. Not like we're waiting a couple of weeks for Ronald Acuna to come back either. All right, we come back. We're going to continue on FST. It's time to buy low and sell high. That's right. It's never too early to throw some trade offers out there. We didn't do it last week because that was a little crazy. Might still be a little crazy. There's definitely some openings in the market. We're going to see if we can make some moves. We'll be right back.
guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets and San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Stryker. His name's Joe Pisapia. And a fun game to play, at least for me, is telling people to say words in a language they don't speak, and they're bad words. I always like to do that when I was a kid, and I do it to Joe now. I say, Joe, you should say this to that person. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not stupid. But I'll tell you, the reason why Joe's here is because he is not stupid. I'll hold that side of the fort down. It's time to buy low and sell high. I normally will do it the opposite way, and that's why I'm here. But Joe, he's a sensible man. Buy low, sell high. It's never too early to have this conversation. Fantasy managers are fickle, and they are ready to pull triggers. I think trades can be made in April. Call me crazy, but that's just my belief. So let's have a conversation. Let's start with a couple of buy lows. We'll talk a pitcher and a hitter, and then we'll go some sell highs. We'll talk a couple of hitters there. So let's go buy low on a pitcher. Who does Joey P like?
Yeah, let's start with Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober's first start of every year is terrible. How terrible? Let me tell you. First starts of his career, he has a combined 12.36 ERA with a 2.14 whip. So this goes back a while now. 2021, 4 innings, 4 earned runs. 2022, 5 innings, 4 earned runs. 2023 was a little bit better, but then 2024, 1 1/3 of an inning, 8 earned runs. And this year in 2025, he graced us with 2 2/3 innings, 8 earned runs. Now, that's pretty bad. So therefore, you have the 12 ERA in his first start every single year. All other games, here's his ERA, 3.42 ERA with a 0.98 whip. And Bailey Ober's second start, wouldn't you know it, was much better. Now, here's the thing. The overall picture still looks a little shady here, and Bailey Ober hasn't established himself as a lockdown guy yet in a lot of people's minds. So some people really like Bailey Ober, some don't. I like him. I wrote him up in the black book this year in the pitching profiles, and I said you got to just get through that first one. After that, things are good. So it's an incredible stat. Why is he so bad in that first start? I don't know. Is it weather? Is it just takes him a little bit longer to get going? Whatever the reason, I don't care. But the numbers don't lie. And Bailey Ober is absolutely a buy-in. That window might be closing. The time to buy him would have been after that first start that was wretched.
Yeah.
And last year, the first start was wretched. Seems like every year the first start is wretched for him. And I think Bailey Ober is still a pretty solid guy that you can leave in that rotation, in your fantasy rotation, pretty much every week. Your thoughts on buying low on Bailey Ober?
No, I agree. Bailey Ober is a good pitcher on a good staff. Rocco Baldelli knows how to use that really good bullpen. That's something I look for with my starters in this day and age. I'm looking for quality starts. That's it. I'm looking for 6. Give me 6 innings. Who out there can do that? You have to find a team with a really good bullpen, and you will find those good pitchers. All right, from the Twins, we go to the Mets. And Joe, I actually am a manager of this player, and I'm not there yet, but he has been on my bench past couple of days in place of some other hotter hitters. Talk to me about this particular New York Met third baseman.
Yeah, it's Mark Vientos, a player that everybody knows I'm sky high on, and it hasn't changed at all. He's starting to hit the ball better and harder at people, too. He's just had some bad luck and some bad at-bats there, but also faced some good pitchers at the beginning of the year. Framber Valdez, Hunter Brown. This is some pretty good guys. Sandy Alcantara. This is not a joke, Kevin Gossman, right? I can go on and on. So it's kind of tough out of the gate when you're facing some of the better pitchers in baseball, but Mark Vientos will turn things around. Now, I am with Matt. If he's not getting it done for you right now, you can absolutely bench him and start somebody else. But I'm not dropping him to the waiver wire based on one slow week.
No way.
This offense is legitimate. Pete Alonso's on fire right now. Lindor hasn't gotten hot yet. Soto is always going to be on base 40% of the time. That's just who he is, good or bad. So it's just be patient. But right now, if somebody is panicking, right, or should panic drop even Mark Vientos in the shallow league, which I've seen it happen in 10-team leagues. They drop him for a guy like Eugenio Suarez, who's gotten off to a really good start. I would not be advising that. I think it's a bad idea. So I'm buying low on Mark Vientos right now. Things will straighten out for him, especially as he starts to face some of the weaker pitchers and get going a little bit. It is just April 6th. It's still pretty early.
Give him a good series against the Nats. He'll come right out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. To put the screws to our producer, Sam Yarnell, big Nats fan. Actually, the Nats are really good. Give him a series against the Sox and the Rockies. All right. You mentioned Eugenio Suarez, so let's have this conversation. Would you do the deal right now? Would you sell Eugenio Suarez for Mark Vientos? Which way would this go?
I would. He is historically a really streaky player, both good and bad. And you've seen that throughout his career. And you saw it even last year. The first half was dreadful. Now, I know he made adjustments and he was a rocket ship in the second half, and I know it's been a good start. But when 5 of your first 5 hits are home runs, it's hard not to create a stir around that. And he has. So that's great. And this is still a great lineup. I'm just saying, if I could sell Suarez and get Vientos back, I would make that deal every day, because I think the long term over this season, Vientos is the asset I'd rather have. If you could trade him for Junior Caminero, I would do that. Again, you're trading third baseman straight up. It's kind of a weird spot, but Suarez is a player that he's going to have his power moments. He's also going to have his long streaks of missing baseballs. It's just who he's always been. So although it was a really good finish last year, I don't want to go too crazy over that combination between that and this hot start, but the hot start gives you an opportunity to kind of have the best of whatever it is in April of him, and then maybe look to kick the tires on a deal. Maybe not this week, but maybe sooner than later, based off the bigger power totals that he's going to have in the month of April. He's already going to have 5 minimum home runs, right? That's a pretty good April right there after 1 week. So just keep that in mind. The numbers are going to look better than maybe the long-term outlook of the player does. So I'd be looking to maybe swap him out.
All right. On the other side of the break, we're going to be doing waiver wire. So we're going to keep this type of conversation going. But Joe, I want to stretch my legs here now. We've been talking about Rafi Devers and just what he has not been doing. He's a sell high candidate. Talk to me about a trade scenario. Ask me, would you do Devers for this? What would it take for you to deal away a Rafi Devers?
Well, certainly I'd want a strong package of players, right? If it started with a Vientos plus, I'm listening already. And I know people might go, oh, that's crazy. I don't think it is crazy. I mean, last year this guy had 20 plus home runs, and that was just his rookie season. And now that lineup is even better. I think what you're looking for is you're trying to get Rafael Devers 85% value, if I had to like mark out what it is. And that is, I think, still very much on the table. The problem you're going to run into is if Devers struggles in April, okay, and then starts to struggle into May, all of a sudden that name brand value goes away a little bit. If you gave me, and by the way, the most traded player right now on CBS leagues is Rafael Devers, okay? Almost at 100 trades already, 93 to start the year. But I'm looking around these other players like Bo Bichette. Would you rather have Bo Bichette or Rafael Devers rest of season, Matt?
Bo Bichette.
Okay. What about Kyle Schwarber, who's been traded 70 times already?
Or Rafael Devers. Oh, gosh. That's a bit different. I would feel more secure with Devers.
All right. I'm going to throw one more at you, too. Another guy that has gotten off to a slow start, but historically been very solid player, Marcus Semien or Rafael Devers. Who would you rather have?
Rafael Devers.
Okay, so there's your line for you. So you Bobichet's there, Schwarber circumstantial, and then after that, you'd rather have Devers than him. And I understand that. That makes sense to me. If somebody's going to give me Pete Alonso for him, I'm going to take Pete Alonso for him, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Right.
But I think that's what you're looking. You're looking to get
Let me ask you this.
a package of players, a hitter and a pitcher, I think, for Rafael Devers that you could play every week that you feel solid about. I think you would take that.
Mark Vientos and Isaac Paredes for Rafael Devers.
See, I think I'd rather have Mark Vientos and then maybe Pablo Lopez is too much, but something in that vein. Zach Gallen's had a bad start and a great start. Maybe you can get Zach Gallen in that deal. I don't know. It's
SP1 in addition to Vientos. Okay. I didn't think that way.
I'm looking for balance. I'm looking for, if Gallen isn't viewed as a 1 anymore in a lot of circles. He's more viewed as a 2. Right. Yeah. I think that is more what you're going to get. I'll throw another one at you too here. Package of players. Would you take Pablo Lopez and say Tristan Casas, who's gotten off to a slow start here?
Yeah, because I still want to be involved in the Sox offensive ecosystem. So yeah, sure.
Okay, there you go. All right, so trade's not the only way to get players on your roster. When we come back, there's plenty of players still in the waiver wire that can help you short-term and long-term. And when Matt and I return, we're going to give you those names. So get ready to get guys on your teams and off that waiver wire when we return right after this. Don't go anywhere. More FST coming right at you.
Guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
What I give them credit for right now, Scott, I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports Today. My name is Matt Stryker, as my producer just called me Matthew. Feels like my father and mother are watching the show. Hey, guys. And, of course, Joey P, Joe Pizzapia. Now, folks, in our lives, we are all surrounded by people. It's just the way it is. And for the most part, most of the people are, dare I say, dumb, uninteresting. But when you can find those people that are talented, when you can find those people that you just know something special about that person. You hold on to those people. And that's what I have here with Joey P, Joe Pisapia. All kidding aside, I've been doing this a long time. When you find someone that's talented and you find someone that's humble and someone that's good, hold on to them. And that's what we're going to do here. Joey P, we're going to hold you and we're going to talk waiver wires here because we need you, my friend. So many people are on the wire. It's still very early. Don't panic. Joey P is here, a very talented and humble man. Joe, where do you want to go first?
I want to start at second base because second base can be tough. And Otto Lopez has gotten off to a pretty decent start, but I want to just pump the brakes a little bit and give you a context here. So he's got 2 home runs. That's not really his game in his first 9 games. 270 batting average, a 341 OBP. He's got a little bit of speed, has 1 stolen base already. He's got 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. So that is more of what we're looking at. He's a career 300 hitter in the minor leagues. Now, he's been around a little bit. Started in the Toronto organization, then moved to the Giants, and then now on to the Marlins. So he has bounced around. He is 26 years old, so a little bit older, not quite prospecty age, but given an everyday position here, I think he is a player that can get you, a 275, 280 batting average, make some contact, have some bursts of productivity. I don't expect a lot of power from Lopez, but if you're in a scenario where you're kind of hurting at second base, right? You missed out on the draft, or you drafted a guy like Estrada, you thought he was going to be the guy, you ended up getting hurt. Lopez, I think, can be a quick fix. We're talking about a guy you spend a couple bucks on, play him until your other players get healthy or get right, and then you could drop him back to the waiver wire. So I don't want to make a big investment on Otto Lopez, but I think it would be nuts considering where he's hitting in the lineup for the Marlins and what he's done so far for the Marlins to ignore him completely. So we're talking about a $3 player, $2, $1, maybe if it's a very shallow league and you just need a second base or some, middle infield help. Lopez, I think, can give that to you, but don't go overboard this early with the budget for a guy like Lopez. I'd rather be spending $5-6 on a guy like Zach Veen and stashing him, or a guy like Kyle Teal and stashing him. I think that would be a much better use of your money, but you do need some players when you're hurting at a position. And if you are hurting in the middle infield, Lopez is a guy that can help you, I think, at least in the short term. I do like the hit tool, just not a lot of power, but the good spot in the lineup, that's what we want. And Lopez at the top of his.
Yeah, and on top of all that, his name is Otto. I mean, that's the guy that drives the bus on The Simpsons. Hey, Bart, dude. Like, you got to have
it. Was a whole
But I hear you.
Tom Hanks played him in a movie just a couple of years ago. Man named Otto, right?
Look at that. Look at that. You took it from The Simpsons to Tom Hanks, as only you can, my friend. But all kidding aside, the Marlins are playing above their pay grade right now, so take advantage of it, like Joe said. Once the bloom is off the rose, drop them and move on. All right, let's go to the St. Louis Cardinals, my favorite team in all of Major League Baseball ever since I was a kid. Jordan Walker, a great name for Cardinal fans, waiting for him to bust out. Perhaps now's the time. He's available in half leagues. Joe, talk to me about Jordan Walker.
22. That's the number for him. 22 years old. I think we forget that when it comes to Jordan Walker.
Right? Look at him. He looks like Joe Carter. He's a man.
he is. And that works against him. But also, we've been talking about him for 3 years now. So I think that also hurts. A guy who's had to change positions from third base to outfield, right? And it's taken him a while to get going. A really good start to the season. Very encouraging. 6 games so far this year. He's got a home run, a couple RBIs, got 2 steals. Now, he was caught twice, but it's good to see him being aggressive. He's hitting .318 in this first week with a .455 slugging and a .423 OBP. Got 3 walks so far, 5 strikeouts. All of those signs point to a player who is rostered in just 50% of leagues to being a guy you want to add ASAP. And a guy like Jordan Walker is more of a priority than a guy like Zach Veen, because we don't know what Veen's going to do when he gets to the major leagues. He could very well struggle mightily. Walker has been in the major leagues. He's kind of been through the adjustment phase, and it looks like, at least on the surface, that some of those adjustments are now working back in his favor. That is positive. So Jordan Walker is somebody that I would be more aggressive on. I think you might have to be more in that $8, $9, $10 fab budget in order to get him, because he is a prospecty name still. He's still a guy that comes with a lot of upside. So he is very visible in that sense. And just last week, we were talking about Victor Scott, right? A guy to pick up. That was right. I think Jordan Walker is the next guy. And all of a sudden, these Cardinals might be a little bit pluckier than people realize. So let's talk about adding him. Mason Wynn, not off to the best start. Why he's hitting 9, I don't understand. But Otto Lopez is a good Band-Aid for that situation. But if you're looking for more of a long-term solution on the offense, I think the solution is a guy like Jordan Walker, hopefully turning the page and starting to realize his potential. Matt, you're Mr. Cardinal. What do you think of Jordan Walker's opening to the season?
I don't want to sit here and be an echo chamber. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but I've learned from sitting here with you, Two metrics, walks and OPS. It's always going to tell you the walks are going to tell you how he's seeing the ball. The OPS is going to tell you the quality of the hits that the hitter is creating. And to me, Jordan Walker has been that guy. We're just waiting. You might remember we talked about Byron Buxton this way for a really long time. That bubble inflated, and then it just kind of, with Jordan Walker, this could really be something. All right, let's talk about a couple of pitchers here before we go. We'll go to Detroit and talk about Casey Mize, and then we'll talk about a closer. Talk about Casey Mize here. He's still available in 4 out of 10 leagues. And this Detroit staff is coming along. It's not just Terry Skubal now, Reese Olson. Now it's Casey Mize.
Yeah, and I want to pick him up this week especially because even if you're unsure, this is the week to pick him up because he's got 2 starts this week. Not only is that potentially viable, but if he has 2 really good starts against these 2 really good opponents, right, the Yankees and Twins, people are going to be running to the waiver wire to pick him up, and he's going to be 3 times expensive. So if you pick him up for a couple bucks now, you can just drop him back if things don't work out. So that's the plus side here. So it's more of an insurance policy. And we touched on him earlier, but I want to throw these spring numbers out. Again, spring doesn't mean too much, but 19 innings, 11 hits, 25 strikeouts, 8 walks in 19 innings. That's really good there for Casey Mize. That looks like a guy who might also finally be getting it. And Casey Mize, a player that's been around a while. He is 28 years old, but has never really reached his potential. One more guy I want to throw out there, Dennis Santana, another one we talked about when we were discussing Bednar being dropped. He is 19% rostered. Last week we talked about picking up Luke Jackson. Hopefully you listened. You got some saves. This week, I want to get this guy right here. You love the high socks. You can't get enough of that here from Dennis Santana. But if you need saves, at least in the short term, this is a guy that you could pick up. And this is my philosophy. Saves present themselves on the waiver wire every year, especially early on. Why not take advantage of that and save your draft picks for something better than just closers? We come back, the 3 and out, putting a button on FST this morning. Don't go anywhere.
Guys are barreling everything right now that are hitting well. Pitching is usually ahead of hitting this time of year, but torpedo bats is what we're reading about, Tom, and I think it's hilarious.
Will the pitching be out in front, or are the bats actually this strong? So it's going to develop over the course of weeks. And again, if all teams have the ability to do so, be creative with it and get out there and use it.
Game time decisions only on SportsGrid.
They won the game, and a lot of people, I think, are, prematurely writing them off. Like, I heard a lot of people say they're not even making the playoffs this year.
But I give them credit for right now, Scott. I'm not going to pencil them to win the division yet. Let's see how they do. What I give the Red Sox credit for, and this sounds like silly, I give them credit for actually trying this year.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Duke has looked really impressive, and it's why they are a minus money favorite to go ahead and cut down the Nets in San Antonio. Kevin Willard's a hell of a coach. There's no mistaking it. Sussman's going to kill me. I think he's going to do a good job at Villanova. The Villanova people are very happy with him, and they think that he's going to do a great job.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back into FST Fantasy Sports. Today, Matt Stryker and Joe Pisapia with you here. Stick around, more quality programming coming up on the other side, as you'd come to expect. And Joe, before we get into the 3 and out, I just want to get on a soapbox here and say that Here in New York, in just a couple of hours, history will be made at what's formerly called the Nassau Coliseum, now the UBS Arena, as Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals come to visit the New York Islanders. And Alex Ovechkin, if you don't know, is about to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time goals record. And the soapbox I want to stand on here is no one in the media is talking about this. No one is covering this outside of a niche group. And a lot of it is because of Alex Ovechkin's heritage and where he's from. And let me just say, no one can control where they're from, and no one can control the opinions that others have of that particular place. With that said, Alex Ovechkin's achievement should be celebrated across every single major media platform, independent of politics or opinion. I'm off my soapbox. Congratulations to Alex Ovechkin, who, by the way, never had any support. You could talk about Tom Wilson, you could talk about the rest of these guys. Everyone else had support. Gretzky had Messier, and Crosby had Malkin. Ovechkin's been doing this thing all by himself with no teeth in his mouth. God bless you, Ovi. With that said, Joe, 3 things you're looking forward to today in the world of baseball or this week?
I just love the hockey rant. More of this. I love it. It's very, very exciting here. Ovechkin, incredible career, I think, when all said and done. But a question for you. I'm not a hockey guy. I enjoy hockey, but I wouldn't consider myself a hockey guy. He's not the player. He's not the force that Gretzky was, like, in terms of just incredible dominance in that period
when
where it was
you
just
watch
unbelievable.
Wayne Gretzky play, when you watch Wayne Gretzky play,
Right.
Wayne Gretzky is like a feather in the wind. But Wayne Gretzky also had Esa Tikkanen, Glenn Anderson, Mark Messier, Ray Ruotsalainen, Paul Coffey, Graf Fuhr, so on and so forth. Alex Ovechkin has one shot. I'll give it to him. Top of the circle, bang. That's fine. You know it's coming, but you can't stop it. But all he's ever had is Nick Backstrom and Tom Wilson. He's never really had anyone. So yes, Gretzky is otherworldly. People said this about Gretzky when he was chasing Gordie Howe and Marcel Dion. Alex Ovechkin is a throwback. You're never going to see this again. The fact that he's Russian, he shouldn't be penalized for that. All right, let's go.
There you go. All right. Let's talk about the Dodgers, also an unstoppable force. Can anyone stop the Dodgers? I think 2 things can stop the Dodgers: injuries and the playoff format. That's it. Those are the 2 things that can stop them. So you get hot in the playoffs or cold in the playoffs, anything can happen. But for now, we're just living in the Dodgers world, and buckle up, kids. I think the fun thing to do is what I did Friday night, which is I waited all week to bet against the Dodgers, and I found a spot that I liked. On the road, First time having to really travel on the road, first time being in a non-friendly environment.
What'd you get the Phillies out there? You took them at a plus money line?
Plus 120, I think it was on the money line. I got them at
Jeez,
plus 120.
Smart.
And
man.
I took the over on Luzardo too. So I got it was a nice little pairing there. So good. Yeah, Luzardo's been good situation. So I think what you want to do with the Dodgers is pick your spots. Like, look at the matchups. Like, they're gonna struggle against this good left-handed pitcher on the road. Like, those, like, I'm looking for, the next good lefty on the road scenario where I go, oh, Freddie Freeman's not in this lineup too today. Let me give this a shot and see what happens there. I think that's where you take your shots there, and you look for the plus money when you have it. And you're going to have it, I think, a lot. The Padres keeping pace. I mean, let's shout out the Padres. If the Dodgers weren't doing what the Dodgers are doing, I think we're talking about the Padres a lot more. Fernando Tatis Jr. looks like he has finally risen to the occasion. Now, I don't want to get crazy here, but it would be really nice to get a full great season from Fernando Tatis start to finish, because we've been teased with it before, and then something always goes awry somehow. But Michael King's bounce back start, very encouraging. A lot of good things to like here for the Padres. Jackson Merrill's great. So we'll see. We'll see how things go. And the Braves, I'm looking for the Braves to start turning things around sooner than later. Eventually, they're going to have Spencer Strider and Chris Sale in the top of that rotation. Schwellenbach is very good as well. Eventually, Ronald Acuna comes back. This is the time to buy the shares of the Braves, who are struggling. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Austin Riley, again, a little sluggish here and there, but there's a lot to like here. Also, something I liked, I just watched the Jack Caglione home run in Double-A. This kid is a monster in Double-A. He hit a ball 464 feet that went out of the stadium onto the street, probably went through 2 car windows. I mean,
Love it.
You want to talk about slugger? If you put slugger into artificial intelligence, Jack Caglione emerges. This guy is going to rock it through Double-A. He's going to rock it through Triple-A. He's going to be in Kansas City by the end of the year. Just mark it, dude. Mark it.
Love it. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I think they need him too. I think that whole entire team really needs him. But listen, the Braves are going to turn things around. Baseball's going to right itself, and we're going to make some money, Joey. Great show.
We sure are. Great show. Way to go on our producers, too. And, of course, maybe we get that Full House music ready for next week, too. Next time I have a Danny Tanner moment. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. From Matt, I'm Joey P. See you next time, kids. Stay on the grid.